Not two sides to bigotry, and there are not two sides to hatred. And if you choose to march with a flag that symbolizes the slaughter of millions of people, there are not two sides to that. The only way to beat the loud and angry voices of hate is to meet them with louder and more reasonable voices.
Very, very violent scenes earlier when I was down at Lee Park. Pepper spray was being sprayed by both sides, and bottles and rocks thrown. The alt-right protesters, which are a mix of all sorts of different groups, formed up around the edges of the park with shields and batons, and were blocking the park off while some of their speakers made speeches in the park. Police presence was relatively low.
I will have your identity and hear your name. I will be donating to everything you stand against. Everything.
No violence.
Just shows
Get the fuck out of our fucking town.
And
no violence.
To be.
No violence. No violence.
Let's close off from there. The gates.
Holy shit.
Oh, man.
No violence.
Why are you
Thanks for
here?
the great picture.
I want to show that people shouldn't be afraid to voice their other views and voice their opinions. You shouldn't be afraid to go outside and say you're conservative. And it's pretty sad that things like this happen.
No violence. Get the fuck home, you fucking idiot! Don't touch me, you bitch! You fucking scum! No, fuck you, buddy! Fuck you! Fuck you!
If the viewers watching right now, take a look at what happens to this woman who is holding an American flag. She's holding an American flag, and a protester comes to her, drags her along there, pulls her anyway. Let's watch this. You can see her flag wound up on the ground. And this is the kind of thing that we hate to see in these protests. I mean, this is where it starts to take that really horrendous turn. And then we're looking at the people, Buck, that you cited earlier as being the anarchists.
I was just going to say, first of all, that's assault, what just happened there. So you already have people that think that they're able to violate the free speech rights of others and break the law. You can't grab something out of someone's hand and drag them along on the ground. That's their property, and that's assault. And then you also did catch a glimpse of what would be...
She's clearly upset.
Clearly upset. Of course, anyone would be. She's holding up an American flag in Boston. You would think that this should be...
Christy,
people should be coming by giving her a high five. Instead, they're pulling her on the street.
On the ground now. Christy, your thoughts on all of this as it unfolds?
I believe that there is a tremendous danger here in making false equivalencies between. I think we're in danger of doing the same thing that, frankly, the president got in trouble on Tuesday for doing, which is by saying that there's violence on many sides,
Why would Trump get in trouble for saying there's violence on many sides? Watching these videos, looks like both sides are extremely violent. So, is Trump right again? Absolutely.
She's on camera. Shit on Facebook. Chill out. Stop filming it. I don't like being filmed. Then leave. I got that on camera. Here's the spray. I got that. Buddy. Open your eyes. Grab that. I got water. Open your eyes. Turn your head up and open your eyes.
Antifa is any group that's willing to stand up against fascists by any means necessary.
Antifa? Why are you going against Trump? Trump supporters? If you're against fascism, makes no sense. Let's talk about fascism. Step 1, respond to political opposition with violence instead of debate and reason. You do this. Out of the past 2 years, I've been watching Trump and his rallies and have seen no violence, rhetoric, or hate speech.
And how safe are you at a Trump rally?
Let's look at step 2 of fascism. Stop all political opponents from speaking and then ban opponents' right to speak. You do this. Do you guys even know what fascism is? If Trump was a fascist, believe me, he would have already arrested your group and prevented you from speaking. Trump would have already shut down CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post, New York Times, and all the liberal outlets from lying, defaming him, or specifically opposed to him politically. That's fascism. Let's take a look at fascism step 3. Take control by force and eliminate opposition. The very definition of fascism. You want this badly. You guys have some real issues, and it looks like you don't even listen to what anything Trump says, or his supporters for that matter. He's trying to help everyone, and you guys are spitting in his face. Nobody gets your group, like at all. People only see you as a bunch of racists starting race wars. We all know Antifa and Black Lives Matter are funded by Soros, and all Americans are frankly fed up with your crap. You guys say you want equality, but we already have equality, especially Trump supporters. If you actually watch the Trump rallies, there's a bunch of different races there, all getting along and all rooting for America. This clip proves that Trump and Trump supporters hate racists, and Antifa members going there dressing up like KKK and Nazis or whatever the hell is sick and sad.
Crime. You have Kate in San Francisco who was killed. Kate. You see, in the good old days, law enforcement acted a lot quicker than this. A lot quicker. In the good old days, they'd rip him out of that seat so fast. But today, everybody's politically correct. Our country's going to hell with being politically correct. Going to hell. You know, it is a shame when you think. It is a shame. You see things like that.
We all know it's you. False flags are never, ever going to work now. The protest in Charlottesville started off as a small rally about taking down a statue, and they had a permit to be there. No matter how you feel about these people, they had the right to speak. Then it became a huge protest with BLM and Antifa, who did not have a permit but were allowed in by the police, and nonetheless were there illegally. Just look at this image with the protest in Charlottesville. To the left you can see Antifa, and to the right you can see white nationalists. You can clearly see they're the same Antifa group members. Just look at the plastic bag the Antifa member is holding. It carries the same shield that the white nationalist is holding right in this picture. Now look at this scumbag hovering over the right and one on the left. Doesn't he look similar? Anti-capitalist professors and shady handlers, CIA trained, Antifa leaders posing as white nationalist leaders, these protests are set up. Fostered and paid for by George Soros groups. True journalists keep catching these handlers directing Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and traditional hate groups like the KKK. Reports of government personnel, like in the State Department, some paid $200,000 plus in Trump's administration, are also caught present there at these events. This is really odd. It seems like the movie The Package, where the CIA tries to set up a white national group so they can put the blame on them when they kill a national leader. It stops being far-fetched after caught time and time again. Obama holdovers and elite government officials are fomenting this, and it's coming to a peak. Why did Terry McAuliffe, a Democrat from Virginia, the governor, Michael Singer, the Democrat from Virginia, Mayor Charlottesville, or Jesse Argwin, a Democratic from California, Mayor of Berkeley, have cops stand down? Also, why did the cops send these two groups of protesters in Charlottesville at each other? So they can beat each other up? The cops did nothing throughout this. The whole thing. They were just actually made it worse. And here we go. This is the desired result. Political intimidation of Trump and Republican supporters. Like these poor older people here shown in these pictures. And now we come to the end here. Fascism step 4. Propagandize and demoralize all allies of political opposition to hold power. In your dreams. Haven't you guys heard? Real Russia's no longer communist, and it's a democracy, and World War II is over. There are no Nazis. KKK was devastated by Jeff Sessions decades ago. You guys say Trump is a Russian agent and a Nazi, but you guys act just like the old USSR Russians, run by the SS Nazis, because you want communism, socialism, and spreading of your political violence and propaganda. You're the only group who are holding the Nazi flags and have the communist symbols on your clothes. Not Trump. Not Trump supporters. You.
Sorry. Yeah.
You see all the hidden treasure wars that we took from these commies? And white Sharia.
So what's going on today? Not too many communists left on here, but we could not help but get
fucking for war. Where's Alex Jones?
Oh, you want to come talk? Come over here. I didn't think so.
We don't talk about war.
How many people do you want to kill with your communist revolution? Yeah? Why are you covering your faces? What are you afraid of?
Safety.
No comment.
No?
The commies are running away to the bank. How appropriate.
I know. Sitting here, just giving them a free platform right now. They don't want to take it.
It's time to call you out for who you are. Anti-national terrorists in free America. ANTIFA.
The only way to beat the loud and angry voices of hate is to meet them with louder and more reasonable voices. And that includes you, President Trump. In fact, as president of this great country, you have a moral responsibility to send an unequivocal message that you won't stand for hate and racism. Now let me help you write your speech here a little bit. As President of the United States and as a Republican, I reject the support of white supremacists.
We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence. It has no place in America. And as I have said many times before, no matter the color of our skin, we all live under the same laws. We all salute the same great flag. And we are all made by the same Almighty God. We must love each other, show affection for each other, and unite together in condemnation of hatred, bigotry, and violence. We must rediscover the bonds of love and loyalty that bring us together as Americans.
The country that defeated Hitler's armies is no place for Nazi flags. The party of Lincoln won't stand with those who carry the battle flag of the failed Confederacy.
Racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as Americans. We are a nation founded on the truth that all of us are created equal. We are equal in the eyes of our Creator. We are equal under the law, and we are equal under our Constitution. Those who spread violence in the name of bigotry strike at the very core of America.
Do you think that what you call the alt-left is the same as neo-Nazis?
Those people, all of those people, excuse me, I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups, but not all of those people were neo-Nazis, believe me. Not all of those people were white supremacists by any stretch. Those people were also there because they wanted to protest the taking down of a statue, Robert E. Lee. So, excuse me, and you take a look at some of the groups and you see, and you know it if you were honest reporters, which in many cases you're not, but many of those people were there to protest the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. So, this week it's Robert E. Lee. I noticed that Stonewall Jackson's coming down. I wonder, is it George Washington next week? And is it Thomas Jefferson the week after? You know, you really do have to ask yourself, where does it stop? But they were there to protest, excuse me, you take a look the night before, they were there to protest the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. I totally disavow the Ku Klux Klan. I totally disavow David Duke. I've been doing it now for 2 weeks. You're probably about the 18th person that's asked me the question. It was very clear.
Newt Gingrich said every Republican should repudiate this guy no matter what it takes.
And I do. Are you ready?
Would you support a Democrat over David Duke if it was what was necessary to defeat him?
I guess depending on who the Democrat, but the answer would be yes. Look, the answer is as quick as you can say it. In fact, I want to answer you before you even ask the question. Because last time, with another person in your position, I did it very quickly, and they said he didn't do it fast enough. Rebuked. Is that okay? Rebuked.
Rebuked.
Done.
Done.
Okay.
Tax returns.
Wow, there's a lot of press. Yes, sir.
Mr. Trump, how do you feel about the recent endorsement from David Duke?
I didn't even know he endorsed me. David Duke endorsed me? Okay. All right. I disavow. Okay?
The Ku Klux Klan here, and you said, honestly, I don't know David Duke.
Okay, so let me tell you. I'm sitting in a house in Florida with a very bad earpiece that they gave me, and you could hardly hear what he was saying. But what I heard was various groups, and I don't mind disavowing anybody, and I disavowed David Duke, and I disavowed him the day before at a major news conference, which is surprising because he was at the major news conference. CNN was at the major news conference, and they heard me very easily disavow David Duke. So I've disavowed David Duke all weekend long on Facebook, on Twitter, and obviously it's never enough.
How would you characterize, to put this to rest, how would you characterize in more words than one, David Duke?
David Duke is a bad person who I disavowed on numerous occasions over the years. And the one question that was asked to me, I guess on CNN, he's having a great time, he talked about groups of people. And I don't like to disavow groups if I don't know who they are. I mean, you could have Federation of Jewish Philanthropies and groups. I don't know who the groups are. He's talking about disavow groups. And that's what I was referring to. But I disavowed him. I disavowed him. I disavowed the KKK. I just did the Today Show, and it was the same thing. And I said, how many times do I have to disavow? Do you want me to do it again for the 12th time?
Well, I want it on the record on this show. Let me follow up, and then I'll open it up to the table.
Just to put it clear, I disavowed him in the past, and I disavow him now.
I am David Duke, and this is a quick, unscripted response to the CNN interview today with Donald Trump. I can begin by the inaccurate reporting of the media that I have endorsed Donald Trump. Specifically, I have said clearly, and every time I've talked about his candidacy, that I am not endorsing Donald Trump.
Even if you don't know about their endorsement, there are these groups and individuals endorsing you.
I mean, I don't know what group you're talking about.
Number one, you disavowed David Duke 2 days prior.
If he said on Friday, I disavow, why ask him again on Saturday?
Why not disavow David Duke, disavow the KKK? What's going on?
I'm saying to myself, how many times do I have to continue to disavow people? And the question was asked about David Duke and various groups. And I don't know who the groups are. I disavow David Duke.
Was that difficult? You see, I told you.
Oh, thank you, Arnold. It is so difficult for Trump to condemn bad people 1,000,000 times because you, Hollywood, and the elites lie about Trump not condemning bad guys. People are not stupid and can see right through you. People can compare your video to the millions of videos of Trump condemning the KKK and white nationalists any day. I guess what Johnny Depp said is true. You guys really do lie for a living.
I want to clarify, I'm not an actor. I lie for a living.
We all know you're in the same group. The elites that look like It the Clown. You guys are such hypocrites. Especially Hillary Clinton and the Clinton crime family. I mean, look at these guys. A white nationalist KKK member. Mr. Bird. Look at these pictures. The same white nationalist KKK member is shaking hands and kissing Hillary. Yeah, yum. This is who you wanted for president? Racist Hillary? I bet you can't find a picture of Trump kissing a KKK member, I can tell you that. We should be asking Hillary and the Democrats if they disavow the white nationalists.
I have a message to the neo-Nazis and to the white nationalists and to the neo-Confederates. Let me be just as blunt as possible. Your heroes are losers. You're supporting a lost cause. And believe me, I know the original Nazis. I was born in Austria in 1947, shortly after the Second World War. And growing up, I was surrounded by broken men. Men who came home from the war filled with shrapnels and guilt. Men who were misled into a losing ideology. And I can tell you that these ghosts that you idolize spent the rest of their lives living in shame. And right now, they're resting in hell.
So some Hollywood fans may ask, well, why does Hollywood hate Trump so much? They're all the same elitist group. And they all get paid to lie to Americans so the Democrats can fulfill their agenda. And that's why most of them are in unison in the Trump derangement syndrome that we see today. Just look at the nuts they are. Look at how they sound.
Stand up for justice!
To stand up for justice!
Stand up for America!
To stand up for America!
Trump is not a legitimate president!
Trump is not a legitimate president!
Trump is not America!
Trump is not America!
We love America!
We love America! That's it! We love you! Mark Ruffalo! Yeah, baby. Thank you. Hey, we're here today to commemorate a life of an American that was killed by a Nazi on American soil. Let's say her name so Donald Trump can hear what's happened here. He's allowed these people. He's allowed fascism. He's allowed the KKK. He's allowed Nazis to show their ugly face. And we're here to remind them there's a cost for that. Americans have died because of it. Say her name. Heather Heyer. Heather Heyer. Say her name. 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 Heather Heyer.
We won't accept Nazi violence. We won't accept Nazi violence. We won't accept Nazi violence. We won't accept Nazi violence.
At first, CNN said it was evaluating the Kathy Griffin situation, but the network let her go, fired her from the New Year's Eve extravaganza after this image, after she pulled this grotesque stunt of posing with the decapitated head, a bloody Trump mask, and after the condemnation grew so loud on the left and the right.
No, just to... No, you've misunderstood completely.
Just to give him some love and rehabilitation.
I think he needs help. Yeah. I'm just going to be in the press. It'll be horrible. but I'd like that you're all a part of it. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president? I want to clarify, I'm not an actor. I lie for a living.
Donald Trump's star was vandalized last night.
Donald Trump sued me and Tupac years ago, and it goes that far back. And if you're going to sue somebody, sue them for the amount of damage they did, not 5 times the amount of damage. So Donald Trump go himself. He talks like he goes. His wife said, "Well, he's a tough guy." He's not a tough guy. He's a bully and he's a bitch, and he can suck my and I'll meet him in a hotel room any day of the week and give him a Louisville Slugger. Kiss my mother ass, you bitch punk sucker.
He will not divide us. 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 Peace will not divide us. He will not divide us.
He will not divide us. He will not divide us. He will not divide us. He will not divide us. He will not divide us. He will not divide us. He will not divide us. He will not divide us. He will not divide us. He will not divide us. He will not divide us. He will not divide us.
President Obama was so very much a part of that. Now, let's hear it for President Obama. That's an applause line. I'll tell you when it's an applause line if we're not kind of in sync.
I totally agree with you. But as we fight the fight for the Dreamers, which is our... Do you want to listen or do you just want to shout? Yeah, I got it. I got it. I got it. As we fight the fight, it's clear. It's clear you don't want any answers. Just stop it now. Just stop it now. Just stop it now. Let's stop it now. Stop it. Look, I want to tell you something. You can. Yes or no? We are the ones. We are the ones. Why do we do this? Since you don't want to listen, we'll have to just go.
Now, in the end here, if you just watch this video and you still disbelieve what we're showing you, you don't have to take our word for it. We want you to look it up for yourself. We want you to wake up because you will find a ton of information. Most of it will be disturbing and probably upset you. But if it gets you active in government, that is the miracle, because the people are the oversight committee of the government. And I can guarantee you, your country and the world can be saved by exposing these corrupt individuals who only want to take advantage of you, especially through fake news and propaganda. That's their tool. You want to hear the truth about what is going on in America, we highly recommend InfoWars, Breitbart, Drudge Report, Hannity on Fox, and Mark Levin, patriots that are exposing the truth. CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post, and a lot more are owned by these corrupt elite we're talking about. They're no good. How many times do they have to get it wrong before people realize this?